All right, everybody. This is the Rob and George Enlightenment Evolution Hour. We're starting off on a little technical difficulties. Are you with me there, brother, again? All right. Well, we're going to get George back on the line. But first of all, I just want to say hey to everybody. I want to tell you guys, first off, we had a very, very, very great week last week. A lot of call-ins, a lot of people, a lot of excitedness. We're also a little new to this, so technical difficulties shall occur. They make a co-host sign-in very difficult through the Blog Talk Radio, but they're doing better about getting that accommodated. And we're just happy that you guys are supporting us. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with the same phone number, area code 347-308-8788 for U.S. and Canada callers. And we're very, very excited that people have been calling in. You can also go on Skype. If you sign up with the Blog Talk Radio account, you can go into Skype and sign up through there, and then you can actually call through on the live frame. Do I have you with me now, brother?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, the technical difficulties are now gone. We're here today so we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. You know the call-in number. You know how to get a hold of us. Is there anything you want to talk about real quick, brother, before we get started on anything?
Well, I wanted to thank all of our listeners for a very productive week. It's wonderful to be back, and I look forward to some really intriguing conversations this evening.
Oh, me too, brother. Me too. I think it's so exciting that people have been able to call in and engage. And feel free to call in any time of the evening you want. We're here for at least an hour every time. And we're also, sometimes we can go a little later than that. We go an hour and a half. Now, there is something, too, I want to talk about before we get started. This program, to be able to run it over 30 minutes, ends up costing not very much. It's only about $39 a month, which isn't too bad. Me and George, though, we do this for free out of the kindness of our heart, so we could do that for everybody, so we could raise the collective consciousness. $39 a month isn't too much for us to come up with, for us to, but I was suggested by many people that I start setting up a donation thing. We've been averaging at least 1,000 callers every week. And if each one of those would put in 10 cents, 20 cents per donation through PayPal, this would pay for our online expenses, and this would help us be able to maybe even upgrade beyond what we're using now so that we can have better technology, better switchboards, better communication out through everyone. So that is definitely something that we're willing to do. We'll get the donation site set up, or the PayPal account that you can donate through on the links from now on, from here out forward. But now that all that talk is done with, let's just start talking about how this week has been, brother. I know for a lot of people this has been a very rough week. There's a lot of things that lead up to that. And we don't want to give excuses for our own creation, but we do know that planetary cycles, as well as our own Earth cycles, as well as our solar system cycles, always are affected by each other's movements. And right now, there is a famous thing that is always blamed for everything bad, and that's the Mercury retrograde. And this tends to affect a lot of different things. What is it generically, brother, that you know about the Mercury retrograde that a lot of people have been talking about lately?
Well, I think that the Mercury retrograde, from what I've researched, is basically when 3 or 4 times a year Mercury does its rotation around the sun, and when it does that, of course there are no mistakes. There's reasons for all of these planetary alignments, but what I've come to realize is that the energies that are being brought to the Earth at this time, in conjunction with the Mercury retrograde, allows us to maybe it pushes us to kind of our limits of communication and things of that nature, and allows us to maybe feel or experience the repercussions of these planetary alignments, and then to it also allows us to go back and revisit these things. So it's very encouraging. I mean, we shouldn't look at it in a negative way, although some of the experiences could be perceived as negative. I think that in the bigger picture, it's kind of pushing us to where we need to be and allowing us to think about them for a while and then maybe revisit them if we have the opportunity. So it's pretty interesting. It really is. It's just another facet of the universe, and it just amazes me. So I'm pretty excited to talk to callers about that or whatever else they feel like talking about. But yeah, it's very interesting, brother.
Yeah, and that's something I've never really heard about this retrograde. I was never a big fan of astrology. I always thought of astronomy as science. That's something I dug when I was a kid. I really enjoyed it. Astrology to me seemed hokey-pokey when I was growing up, but the more I understand about energies, the more I understand about the collective consciousness of the solar system being represented by each planet having their own collective consciousnesses, adding their own consciousnesses together along with the star to create the solar system consciousness. It's the same as group souls dividing into oversouls in the fractals. It's the same thing, only on a bigger scale. We're talking about high 7th density, 8th density entities that are known as planets and stars, and their consciousness is connecting together. And during this time, I've realized a lot of things. I've learned about the communication issues with the retrograde of Mercury. This doesn't allow us to communicate from our heart usually. It allows us to communicate more so from our mind, more so from our disconnected places. It also, it's funny, something about electronics, and this last week and a half or so, everyone I know has been having computer issues, technical issues with our show has been one of the things. So it kind of fits in, and it's amusing to me how these things coincide. Another thing is us being set in our own path. And every day we walk our path, we have a good idea of what we think our path is, and we always walk forward. And once in a great while we get thrown with a fork in the road, or just a little side path. Maybe it's a light side path. But this was explained to me by a lady, and I can't remember her name right off the bat. I'll figure it out before the night's done. It's the video that you had sent me, brother, about it, and she made some interesting points that observing these forks in the road are something that's very, very important to do. Looking at all options in your life, looking at things that you've done in the past, it's revisiting all these things over and over, and I think that's really important. I've talked to several people this week who have talked about problems in relationships, problems of communication in relationships. A friend of mine who's been married for over 20 years has been having a problem also in his relationship, and it was very concerning to him. Actually, I think it was 27 years. Everyone I know right now is going through relationship communication issues of one or another, and I think that that's a real great thing to talk about. But me and George are obviously here to talk about anything you guys want to. Give us a call in. We'll put you on. We'll talk about what you want to talk about, and it'll be real great. Is there anything else that's been going on, brother, that you can think of that's been exciting for you or that you've heard other people being excited about?
Well, brother, I think it's there's been a lot of talk of the energies. There's the channelings that are coming to our consciousness right now are really messages of love and pushing us to try to expand our consciousness to a higher level. For those people that might not be in tune to experience things that are maybe on a quantum level that they don't understand or maybe perceive at this time. That's the wonderful thing about this show. We're all evolving, hence the name evolution. So I think that when we can talk about our feelings and our experiences together, it really lets us know that we really all are one. All the synchronicities with the planets, all the different interpretations of communications that we have with each other in relationships. These times are really pushing us to re-examine our feelings for one another. They of course we mirror back our reality with the other people in our lives. So it's kind of exciting. I tend to look at all things in a positive way, even though at the moment they seem to be on the negative side. But it's our choice to either look at them as positive or negative, or even the best way is to look at it in a neutral perspective. So
yes,
I think that whenever we can stay neutral, if we look at the source and the higher entity beings, when they get up to that level, there's no polarity there. And polarity exists here on Earth, and there's probably a few other planets where the polarity still exists. But Earth for the most part is a polarized planet, and so we will live our lives. All of our lives, our past lives, have been experienced in a polarity, some good, some bad. It's just all kind of leading up to where we are now, and I think it's the energies are pushing us to let go of those negative energies that we've experienced on a cellular level through our experiences in our past lives, and learn to view them and purge them, and really be awakened to the fact that these exist, and start creating some new belief systems so we can easier navigate through this life.
Absolutely, brother. And I think one of the things that you said that was very, very important there is our perceptions, how our perceptions play the part of our reality. And this is something that Treb's taught me very, very well. It's an idea that many people say there's one absolute truth. This truth is the only truth. There's no way that we can go from here to there without seeing one truth. And this isn't necessarily true either. There's all sorts of truths. There's so many different kinds of different things that we can all have a different perspective of, with the outcome of being a separate truth. We can all have our own separate truths by our perception. And the example he always uses, car crash, very simple terms. How many people are standing there watching? Let's say 100 people see one car crash. Guess what happens? You get 100 different stories, 100 different people saying this person was at fault, this person was at fault, this is what happened, no, this is what happened. And they're all seeing it from their own views. And those views are either skewed or enhanced by their own perceptions and belief systems of what an accident is, what would cause the fault of it, and everything down that line. We've got a caller in here, brother, and this is the 916 area code. Who do we have with us tonight?
Hi, this is Diane.
Hi, Diane. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. I've been having mind's eye pictures of my hybrid children, and I was hoping to receive some validation, if possible. And I had seen Bashar this last weekend, but unfortunately I was not chosen to speak with him.
Oh.
I was wondering if Treb might be able to give me some confirmation. In my mind's eye, I've been seeing a female hybrid. She's about 4 feet tall. She has light hair, and beautiful, big, bright blue eyes. And the other day, the name Ashara came to me.
Well, that's a wonderful thing, and I know that a lot of these confirmations that we get about these things, entities connected to us, hybrid children, a lot of these do come to us in that way, through meditation, through sleep state. Unfortunately, it takes me a lot of time, effort to get connected to Treb and to get him set up, but there is something that we can do, obviously, and this is a good time to announce that, too. On March 1st, we are going to be doing Open Forum number 22 live on air, but we're not going to be doing it on the regular Wednesday night during the Rob and George show. And what's going to happen is you'll have a chance to call in. I'll be doing the channeling for Treb. I'll be ready before the show starts, and we're going to open up at least a 2-hour spot for everyone to call in and get any question that they want to with Treb. I would suggest, if you've been wanting to connect to Treb, there's several things to do to get ready to connect to Treb. There's obviously there's a mantra that can be done, and I've set that on YouTube. If you contact me on Facebook, I'll send you that link. I don't have the name of it with me right now.
Okay.
I'm digging as we speak. That's one way. Another way, though, is very, very easy, is to close your eyes and to get into a deep meditative state, and then to visualize the constellation Aura Guide. And this is a constellation that Capella's in, that Treb exists in, and to look at this constellation in a pan-out view and then start panning in towards Capella. And the more close you get to it with the intention, I wish to connect to Treb's energy, many people have been able to connect with him. There's been a few that have even been able to talk back and forth to him in an astral projected state. They've been able to sit down with him on his planet like I do when I'm channeling and just have a chat with them, talk to them, tell them anything they want to know and get all the questions answered too. This will help him be more familiar with your energy. And I suggest anyone who calls on for that show on the 1st, and actually I think I said March 1st, but that's not even close because that's well done and past. It would be September 1st, which is a Sunday. We'll be doing it that day, and just get ready, connect to them like that, and also during times of meditation, there's also many times I can talk to them while I'm in my channeled state for other people. So if you set me a reminder on Facebook too, that would be really, really useful. But I would say, without talking to Treb, without knowing what is going on for sure, I can almost guarantee you that there's something there. When you're in meditation, you get visualizations, your higher self leads you to these things for a reason. And that's the thing that we all should try to do while we're in meditation state. When you're receiving such information and such vivid details of things, then there is definitely a reason for that. It's being fed to you from the higher self for a reason.
I agree, and I feel such love when I feel it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, Diane. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about while we got you here?
No, I think that's it. Thanks so much.
Hey, wonderful. And thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. All right, and thanks again for all who call in. Don't forget, you can call in anytime. Give us a call, and whatever we're doing, we'll drop it just for you. This is what the show's for. We were talking about perception earlier, brother. What has been one of your experiences, maybe out of your own personal life, where you've dealt with a difference in perception that's caused trouble or caused an issue, or maybe butting heads with someone because your perceptions on things were so differently?
Well, once we learn how these, again, it's on a quantum level, meaning there's things that are true about the nature of reality that we just don't know about. And when we learn to understand or attempt to understand these concepts, we expand our consciousness. And for me, when you live your day and you really do, to really get into it, to really get excited about it, you have to be aware of this, and really the whole of your day, every awake moment, you have to keep it in the forefront of your mind that you want to expand your consciousness, that, for example, leaving the three-dimensional reality and experience the five-dimensional reality. These thoughts have to be in the forefront of your mind. And when you do that, you start to realize in your different, your own, it's like being empathetic to the people around you. You start to feel what they're feeling. You have a sensing of what they're going through, and it helps you in your communication skills, and your personal vibration is rubbing off on them. And my experience has been very fruitful in terms of the ways that I, let's say, walk into a situation where someone's there or a group of people are there, and you start going into it with a sense of love and being positive.
Absolutely, brother, and that's the one thing that's easiest for all of us, to be able to try to be more neutral in the way we approach things, and then we never have the static. Then we never have the friction that causes us not to be able to connect. And that's where I am at now. I'm able to perceive things at my own level, but still be accepting of others. And that can be hard sometimes, especially with the things
Yes.
we believe in the most, especially those things that we really, really are passionate about. When I first started doing this work with Treb, a lot of naysayers would come along, a lot of people who either didn't like channeling or didn't like Treb because he's a reptilian hybrid. All these sorts of things would come across, and it used to frustrate me. It would really get me upset, like, I know they can't experience it for themselves, but, how come they can't be open-minded, And that's one of the stages, too, we talked with a caller a couple of weeks about. He was at that level, I really get frustrated with people when they're not open-minded. And that's one of the stages that you go through in your growth. You become frustrated with those who can't be as open-minded as you, but it's still a judgment. It's still something, you're seeing someone to be different than you because of that. And those judgments are the thing that really, really knock us out of our level. They knock us out of our vibration. Every day, it's very easy to judge everything, little things, big things. Back when I was younger, I was a teenager. I used to go to church with my parents when they kind of forced us to go all the way up until we were 12, 13. And when I just started getting to that age, every time I would stop going to church around 13, it didn't resonate with me. And every time one of the people would come over from the church, I would always try to have a discussion with them. Now, mind you, I'm not arguing with these people. I'm not fighting with them. I'm not telling them their beliefs wrong. But my view was so tilted towards Christianity is nonsensical. It doesn't make sense to me. And they were coming from the whole point of view where they are completely involved. 100% of the Bible has to be the truth. So I would start talking to them about these things, and this would cause a lot of static, a lot of friction, a lot of grief between us two. So we would always butt heads, and I would bring up a point, and they would bring up a point. And their point didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't resonate. I'm like, that's ridiculous. How could that be when this is this way? And literally, we would have two people ranting like lunatics to each other because neither one of us bought into what the other one was saying. And it's not a matter of who's right, who's wrong. It's a matter that both of us are right because that's the existence we live in. That's our truth. And that's so important to remember. No matter how unsavory another's view is, no matter how much it grains against everything that you believe and everything you know, it's still a valid point. This person's living their life in that view, and when it no longer serves them, then we'll have something similar to what we're dealing with now. Whether you call it the retrograde or whether you call it the essential energy, whatever energies are coming to us now are forcing us to look at our belief systems. So just remember, when you're arguing and hashing that out, remind yourself, this person will deal with that belief system until they no longer need it.
That's very true, brother. It's actually, you made a couple very good points there. Again, when we live in this, it's kind of I call it like a lifestyle. It's a new changing of beliefs, understanding the true nature of a reality. Your example of the religious disagreements are, how you do that now is, okay, this person has different views than I do, but whatever way gets them thinking of God or the source is a good thing. So
yes,
we can't look at we tend to look at the details instead of the big picture. When we look at people, we should actually think of them as a soul. Like, this is another soul. Forget what kind of bodysuit they have on. Forget about their skin color. Forget about their disfigurements or their beauty. Look at them as a soul, as an aspect of source. And that really changes your whole belief. If people are butting heads, there's a reason why that's happening. The best thing to do is try to look at it in a positive way. And if you have to disconnect, sometimes you just have to disconnect and let people go. But you have to, again, not try to carry the burdens of other people's have because of their belief systems. And we are the concept of my belief is every incarnation is we're here to experience love, and ultimately unconditional love is our goal. So when we're not there yet, I imagine there are a few people on Earth that have achieved the true unconditional love, but it's an evolution. It's somewhere where we have to sometimes keep reincarnating till we achieve that goal of true unconditional love, where the ego no longer exists. And so it really is, for me, it's very exciting, and it gives your thoughts something to do rather than look at everything in a negative way, which keeps on creating more negativity in your life. So it's a very great point, brother. Thank you.
Well, thank you too, brother. It's a great point you brought up too. So many of us look at our relationships, and relationships is a big part of what's going on now, the energies that are going on. And a lot of people have asked Treb, a lot of people have asked me, a lot of people have asked George, I'm going through living hell with this person. What do I do? When is the time to disconnect? And the time for us to disconnect to someone is really up to each one of us individually. Yes. You think about, well, if you disconnect from them, you're disconnecting from source, you're denying another part of you, and that is true. The idea is not to disconnect from them. It's to stop communication when it's toxic. It's to stop communication when things are going so horribly, it brings both of you down, and don't disconnect your heart from them. Still love them, still accept them, still understand them. Don't see them as bad or negative or faulted. Just give your heart to them. And that doesn't mean you have to verbally communicate with them. A lot of people do that, and that's very commendable as well. To be able to handle toxicity or negativity from another person is a very good attribute. Most of us on Earth don't have the ability to do that. So if you can, that's more power to you. But you also have to remember your own self. You have to remember your own journey, your own path, your own trip that you're making right now in life, and know that when some people come through with a lot of negativity, disconnection, if they're vibrationally rubbing off on you and bringing you down as well, that is the time to disconnect from them verbally, but always keep your heart connected to them. This can be a really helpful thing. And that doesn't mean it'll be like that forever. It doesn't mean like you have to not care for the person or whatever the means are. But sometimes it is time to disconnect when you're not able to do it. And most of the time when that happens, there's issues on both sides. There's the inability to forgive someone, the inability to stay communicating with them because of the toxicity. But you have to know your own heart. Each one of you know yourselves way better than George does, than I do, than Treb does. You know yourself better than anything. You have to know that own point on yourself. And a lot of people are going through that right now. So I thought it was very important to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, brother, that's very true. Sometimes we tend to overextend our ability to communicate with people that that are on their own journey. We're all on our own journey, and the choices we make are coming from sometimes a skewed point of view. I think the basics of all our reincarnating or enlightenment is if we know that our true nature is love, then anything other than that is out of alignment. So a few weeks ago we talked about the chakra system and the blockages that get held up in them. We have to keep these thoughts in the forefront of our mind. It's a new learning system. It's creating the new belief systems of understanding, and when we see people or situations or chaos in the world, it's really an extension of the collective consciousness. So, we really are all connected. Whatever we see outside in our vision of reality is just basically on an individual level, it's your close situations and people that you communicate with. But on a collective consciousness level, any sort of chaos in the world is basically a production of our own. So that's the responsibility that we've talked about of releasing this negative energy so it doesn't come out in a negative situation in the collective consciousness. So it can seem deep, but it really isn't. On a simple level, it's very clear. And that's the whole point of evolving, and the point of this show is to make us realize more how we affect each other and how we affect our reality and our world. So it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, brother. And the one thing too, a lot of people hear the concepts of being able to disconnect from people and how that can be a really negative thing. The very basis of something that I've always tried to get through to people is that self-love is the most important thing. Most of us are trying to build these relationships under two premises. One, the lack of understanding that person is an extension of us. And two, the fact that we can never build great relationships in our life until we've learned to love ourselves. Yes. And those two premises are the foundation of all relationship buildings and breakings. And I promise you that is something that is very, very deeply true for every relationship you look at. So if you're at a point where a relationship is very, very negative, it's toxic, and you feel that you have to disconnect, then you've got to see both of those things. You've got to see, well, there's something in my own self that's going on, where a point where I'm not loving myself, and reattach that love. And then you also have to see this person's an extension of myself. This person is a representation of me, and there's something in the communication that's not letting me see myself clearly. When I talk to you, brother, I'm basically bouncing myself off of you, and depending on how I perceive you, and depending on how clear you are, that gives me a reflection of myself that shows me how great I am or how not great I am. And it's very, very dependent on my perception, and it's very dependent on the way you reflect the energy with your own alignment. So when we're doing this, if one of us thinks the other one's a knucklehead, it's because one of us is misaligned and the other one is having perception issues. And when we're arguing back and forth, both of these things are at play. And I think that's a very important part to understand how important self-love is. And like you said too, brother, everything that we're doing to another person, we're doing to ourselves, but we're also adding that energy into the collective consciousness.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we can't strongly state enough how loving yourself is probably the most important thing that we can do. When we love ourselves, I mean, think about it. If you love yourself, are you going to get into a relationship that's dysfunctional? Are you going to look for the somebody trying to win you over in kindness to get something from you, or just anything that isn't really above board. Let's say if we love ourselves, we never look to others for love or nurturing or anything else. It comes automatically, because when you love yourself, everything else gets in alignment, because that's our true nature. Our true nature is love. That's who we really are. Anything other than that, we are out of alignment, and we've all experienced this. So it's a wake-up call, and it's just beautiful that we can talk about this and start creating these new ways of being.
Absolutely, brother. And I think it's one of the hardest things as a human to do, is to truly love yourself under all circumstances. I mean, I look at myself and I see things that are really great, but I also see myself in ways that are less than great. I can look at someone who I truly, deeply love in the most unconditional way allowed by mankind, and I can look at them, and despite how they see their faults, I always see brilliance in them. I see that nothing is wrong with them, but sometimes I can't see myself in that way. And I think all of us have that to an extent in one way or another. And the breaking of that down is what needs to be important. Let's say, well, I really appreciate this person, but when I look at myself, I see maybe I'm lazy, or maybe I'm not as smart as I could be. All these negative things that aren't true. If you're not a rocket scientist, of course you won't have that kind of information, but there's always intelligence to everyone. They have their own kinds of intelligence. If you're lazy, maybe you're not being lazy. Maybe that's just your expression of your own self, because you don't like to do things that other people think you should be doing. You're enjoying life. You're doing certain things. All these things can be looked at from a positive view. And what we have to do is project that on ourselves, just as we project that on those people we hold closest to us, the people that we love the deepest and most. As they see their imperfections, we don't. And we need to start projecting that on us. Every imperfection you see, try to refocus that, reproject something that's positive to yourself. And most people cannot do that on all things themselves, but to work in that in meditation, set your intent to refocus your self-worth, to refocus your self-image, to refocus all the things that you believe are weaknesses, and find good attributes about all of those things. And I think that can be a real important tool and exercise to use.
Yes, brother, very good point. We both help many people when they try to describe themselves as and they use kind of negative verbiage about themselves, and then you attempt to try to tell them, well, I don't see that. I don't see the same thing you see. We try to help and let them know that they are perfect. They are perfect in every way, because that's what the Source creates. It creates perfection. If we don't feel that way about ourselves, there is something out of alignment. Like I said, when we talk about the chakra system, these are childhood issues. They're scars that we carry on through life. It's old baggage that we're carrying. These energies that are coming to the earth now are pushing us to rid ourselves of that old baggage, and to really start loving ourselves first and foremost, to be able to achieve who we really are. I mean, there's a lot of talk of creating your reality. I mean, you literally do that, but if you have the negative, if you wake up in a negative state, what do you think your day is going to be? It's going to be negative. And so it's very important to, again, create these belief systems and to understand that you actually are creating your reality in a literal way. But self-love is the first start. I mean, that's number one. That's That's where it all begins, is loving yourself first. And it doesn't matter your situation, your lot in life, whatever it is, everything exists in the now, and you can start literally being a new person in one moment.
It is that easy, isn't it, brother?
It's that easy. It's that easy if we let it. We have to come to the point in our consciousness where we understand these values of who we are. We have to value ourselves, and we have to, which in turn will start valuing others. It's so powerful. Think about the aspect of creation. We are an aspect of God. We are an aspect of Source, whatever version you want to use. When you start taking back and empowering yourself that this is who you really are, your life will change in a minute. It'll change in a minute. There's synchronicities will come your way. There's anybody that's not experiencing a beautiful existence, which they should be. It's your right as a creator. Like I said, if you're not, you have belief systems that are telling yourself that you are not worthy of a beautiful life, whatever that may be. And so it's very important that we talk about this and people start understanding these beautiful channelings that are all these wonderful channelers are talking about. The messages that are being sent out, and they're all relatively the same. That's what's amazing about it all. I've learned that through Treb, and it's such a beautiful thing, but we have to really swallow that pill that lets us love ourselves enough to understand these concepts. So yes, brother, thank you.
And absolutely, brother, and thank you too. And I think that's one subject to talk about is many people look at channeling in different lights. There's some people who accept it, some who don't. And both ways are acceptable. It's fine. The information that comes from it is what's most important, not how someone gets it, what they think it is, all these things. And I really enjoy the fact that all these channeled entities are saying the same thing. But a lot of people mark that up. They chalk it up with criticism to, well, of course it's the same. Everyone's repeating everything else and all these things. But they're not really the same. When you look at them, all of these messages are similar. They all have the same meaning. They all have the same message. It is just the perception of the being that's giving them. So for people who kind of look at channeling like, well, it's not the same at all, think about it like this. There are many different people, and we'll go back to that car crash analogy. All these different entities are living their own existence just as separately as we are here on Earth, from their own point of view, their own planet, non-physicality, wherever they're coming from. They're all having their own personal point of view, and they're all, well, not all, but for the most part, they're physical beings. They're in physical reality, whether we think of it as physical or not, fifth, fourth, sixth density beings. They're all still in physical reality, so they're all going through an evolution of their own in one way or another. The fourth density beings are evolving through the mastery of love. The fifth are mastery of knowledge. The sixth is mastery of knowledge and love together in complete universal knowledge. And each one of these has something different to offer, but they're all saying these same things. And these messages are all pointing back to yourself. They're all pointing back to you as the creator of your own existence, just as much as they are the creator of their own. And just because the perception is different doesn't mean the messages are different. They're all coming from that same source energy. They're all coming from one place that describes you as the most powerful. I know a lot of people get hung up on the channeling things about, well, these channeling beings, you don't need them, you need yourself. And I agree with that. I agree with the fact that yourself is the best indicator of anything in your own life. It's the best needle on the compass. It's the best heartbeat in the chest. It is you. I mean, yourself in life is the best source of inspiration and knowledge that you can have. But I think that channeling is a very great tool for those of us who do have the problem finding the deeper answers to the deeper questions. Most of these beings are based in higher knowledges, They're based in higher alignment. And sometimes we need those beings to reflect back on us as, what I always call a very clean mirror. They're reflecting back perfectly what we need to know. And I think that that's a very useful tool for those of us. And for those of you who don't need channeling, that's awesome. I enjoy the fact that you don't, because that means you're finding your own way. You're finding your own happiness, and you're finding your own inspiration inside of you. And that's the point where, at least with Treb, that's what he's always told everyone. His mission on Earth is to be where he no longer is needed. And I think that that's really great. He's trying to work himself out of a job, right?
Yeah, well, brother, that's good. I remember we were talking to Ardif that one time, and he was very, he's a high density, I can't remember the number, but he was very, very strongly pointed out that we are the same, that I am not higher than you. It's just a different consciousness level. It's a different perspective. And I think there's no mistake that all these beautiful channelers are coming out at this time. I mean, it's remarkable. They're coming out of the woodwork. Why do you think that is? I mean, it's the ascension. It's the evolution of mankind. We're moving forward. We're moving out of the the past, thousands of years of darkness into the light now. So there's people that are getting activated. There's the whole DNA codes are being activated in us, but we're all moving in individual paces, and it's very, we have to understand this, and we have to accept it, because everybody is in the exact place that they need to be. So we should not envy anybody else. We should just love them. If we can learn from another person or entity, that's great, because they just have a different perspective. Your higher self has a higher perspective. They can view your situation, and they can try to nudge you in the way that you should go, because it's all about love. And you're part of your higher self. It's you. So once we start learning about these concepts and being able to express them to one another, it's such a beautiful thing. And it is enlightenment at its best. Absolutely, brother. And I'm glad that you point that out. I also want to point out something of my own to anyone who happens to be listening right now. As much as you might enjoy me and George chatting your ear off, don't be afraid to jump in here. You guys call. If you want to switch up the subjects, we can do that most instantaneously. We can do it at whatever needs you want. That's why we're here, to kind of help you with whatever you're going through, to listen to you if you got something to tell us. If you got a joke for us, we'd love to hear it. Just give us a call. It doesn't matter what you want to do, what you want to talk about. Feel free more than call. I think one thing that we got onto a couple weeks ago, but we didn't really dig deep into it, is the chakras, what the meanings of them are, what they do for us, and how we know when they're out of alignment. And if you have no objections, brother, maybe we'll switch our way to that way unless we get a caller. That's perfect, brother. Let's do it.
All right. Let's start with the very first chakra, or, there's debates on colors of chakras, the way they rotate, all these things. And this is all pretty much personal belief systems, and that's fine. That's perfect. I'm giving the most generic and basic representation of these chakras so that it's easy for everyone to understand, and for people who don't know about it, because I know especially Adam will be calling me up after this is done and saying, why are you telling everybody that the color is red when it's pink, or whatever the case might be. So, Adam, don't call me. All right. The very first one, we'll start with base chakra, and this is represented by a color that's red. And this chakra is the survival point of us. This is often related to anything in the kidneys, the legs, the base of the spine. When we have an imbalance in ourselves, that's how it manifests itself outwardly. It's physically affecting these parts of us, our legs, the kidneys, base of spine. This is the most manifested out parts of us. Now, what this is about self-awareness. It's about the survival. It's about being in our environment comfortably. It's about being rooted to the earth. And this is a very important chakra. Those of you who don't feel safe in your own environments, if you're living in a city that's a rough neighborhood and you don't feel safe, you have all these different emotions about negativity of where you're at, or negativity about any of these things in general. So I'm trying to give a better example than feeling safe. Usually it has a lot to do with financial too. If I don't feel safe financially, if I don't feel safe in the place I live, if I don't feel safe in my normal existence, I feel like everyone's after me, that's when this chakra specifically gets messed up. It gets unaligned. The next chakra we'll move up to, it's the sacral chakra. This one's orange color. And this affects the sexual organs. It affects the abdomen, the stomach. And this chakra is specifically based in sexual energy. Not just sexual energy, but appetite for life. Any stimulation of life that we choose. That's the second chakra. A lot of people who use drugs, alcohol, they use this as a replacement because they're unaligned in that chakra. The next one we'll go up to is the solar plexus chakra, and this is yellow, and it's situated probably, I'd say probably about 4 inches below your heart area, and this is right where your ribs end, the very, very middle of your body where the ribs end. And again, this is yellow, and this has to do with self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our personality, our intellect, and it also, which is something that's less talked about, has to deal with us going backward and forward into time. It has to deal with all those things we look at the past, all those things we look at in the future. All right, we're going to stop right there for the moment as we've got a call, but if you want to remind me, brother, when we get back, the solar plexus chakra is the one we're leaving off of.
Yeah.
And we've got a call on the 352 area code. Who do we have with us today?
Hi, this is Savita.
Hi, Savita. How are you doing?
Hi,
I am
hi,
good.
Savita.
How are you doing?
Great.
Yeah, we're doing great.
How is it going?
That's going all right.
How are you, Savita?
I'm great. I have a couple of questions, but one question at a time. Next question
Sure.
for the next episode.
All right. We can work with that.
Yeah, because I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to give other people a chance to come and, discuss their stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So I want your input about the emotions we feel. There are two things about the emotions. The way we feel emotion and the theories behind those emotions. Like, they say, emotions are energy in motion. How to deal with the emotion is let them flow. You don't hold yourself. Just be the conduit and let it go. I mean, that's how, this is the spiritual way of taking your emotions. But when something happens, actually, for example, if you take a scenario, say that somebody lost his child, okay? Just a scenario. And he's sad and very, very, very sad, of course. So how you take it, like how you, all that theory which we discuss in spiritualism, how do you be in it? You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, Savita. Thank you for that question. I'll just start off real quick, brother, because something came to mind as she was talking. First of all, emotions are kind of our red flag of how we're feeling and how we're dealing in certain situations. Savita's scenario about the emotional upheaval of someone losing a child or something happened to a child or a loved one is we have to understand that we have a choice to look at it in a positive or negative way, but what I think is we should do is, when we look at it at a neutral point of view, and this person that's grieving has to filter those emotions through the heart chakra, through the chakra system, to filter those and understand that there's synchronicities that happen, that there's reasons for everything. There are no mistakes. So we have to look at the big picture of why these things are happening, and that there's reasons for them. So I'm not sure if your question was, how do we help them, or how do we deal with these ourselves? But that's a good place to start.
Sure, brother. That's a great place to start, and it actually ties in exactly to what we're talking about right now. This is the chakras.
Yeah.
Treb described
exactly
a negative feeling as a red flag, exactly like you said, brother. And what this has to do with is our chakra systems. It has to do also with our belief systems. If we are feeling negative emotion, and let's say it's in our stomach area or in our chest area, well, it's manifesting itself out from the chakra that's blocked, that's causing this thing, that's causing the imbalance. And this is what I was going to get into later with the chakras anyway, so it's perfect time to explain this.
Yeah, perfect.
There are red flags, and there's what I call blue flags, and that's not a Treb saying, that's a me saying. And the red flags is when you are in pain, when you're in discomfort, when you're in imbalance. Now, let's use this scenario. The child has passed. Obviously, this is going to cause pain to most of us. And it causes pain for us because our collective consciousness belief system is that we have lost that person. Every time you talk to someone, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for the loss of your child, the loss. But what it is truly is a loss of connection to that person in the way that we're comfortable with it. Our soul knows for 100% fact that that person is not gone. Our soul knows that that person is alive and well in a different style reality, in a different way, a different meaning, a different manifestation. So our soul knows that it's okay, but we're telling ourselves with our beliefs that it's not. So this manifests itself out into our emotion. It's a negative emotion. The only way that we can deal with it is become aware that that emotion is there, the negative emotion, and what that means. And what it means is that we are out of line with an action, we're out of line with a thought, or we're out of line with a belief that goes against what our soul knows. So let's compare. We know that the child's not really lost, so we take that, we're aware of the pain, we set it in, we hold on to it for a moment, we embrace that negative emotion, and then we put it through our belief systems again. We always point back to knowing that that kid's not gone. So the next thing we have to do is start working on that belief system. Start reminding yourself every time you feel that pain again, embrace it, know why it's there, and remind yourself. Even if it's in a meditative state, even whatever the case is, I know that they're not gone. I know that they're here. They're just not here in the way we experience it. And you'll be able to tell a lot about where your imbalance is to where your pain is. A lot of us take the pain in our stomach. A lot of us take the pain in our chest. And that's the heart chakra and solar plexus chakra. We're looking at aspects of time back and forth. We're looking at aspects of love. So that's manifesting outward physically in the same area where our chakra imbalance is, and know that it's there because of that belief. Does that make sense to you, Sabita?
Yeah, it does. But that was just one example. I was talking about the day-to-day sadness, day-to-day grief. Not grief, not in a bigger way, like in a small little things, like for example, I have a fight with my husband. I'm sad. Okay, so there something happened, of course, and I reacted. He reacted. It's just an example, In every day, how many times things happen. Some things happen deeply that made us sad. We are in the sad mode for a few days, and then we bounce back all the time. But my thing is that how you understand that what going on in you, and how to let go that, and how to bounce back to the higher vibrations in every day. Not like that happens with me. I understand that I'm sad. I understand that I'm not aligned because this is not my vibration, and then I just it just keep on going, and all of a sudden I just bounce back myself. But this is unconscious process. It is involuntary process. I want to make it voluntary process, to understand.
Yes.
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 The understanding, there is two things, I'm not able to put them in better words, but let me put it in that way. There are two things always, like what we read, I just call it book knowledge, bookish knowledge. We listen to Bashar, we listen to Treb, and we kind of grasp the knowledge. But another thing is being that knowledge, that knowledge go into you, soak into you, seep into you, and then you literally understand that. For example, before knowing Treb, I knew it that we have to be non-judgmental, but continuously listening to Treb, that thing seeped into me that now I feel it. I become like that no, I don't have to judge people. The major difference. So that's difference I'm talking about, that every day-to-day sadness, every day-to-day disappointments, those things get into us. We understand the theory behind it, but how to just be it, how to bypass that theory and vibrate in higher vibration instead of going into low vibration and let thing take care of you instead of you take care of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yes. Savita, I totally understand, and thank you for expressing yourself so beautifully. What I do, I can tell you my experience. What I do is I always filter my emotions, and I have to do this in a literal way, where I'm actually picturing those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions that I'm filtering through the chakra system, and I'm picturing them literally overflowing out of me and going into the ground through my legs, through the roots, and grounding them to Mother Earth, Gaia, and taking a deep breath and then understanding from those how we might have co-created, because we also co-create with the other ones around us, our loved ones. But I think what you're asking is how do I manually do it versus letting it dissipate itself. And that's a very great point, because when you can learn to do it immediately when it happens, you don't carry these burdens of emotion around with us that get stuck in our chakra system. And a lot of people do that. They have like a bypass through their different chakras, and it builds up and it builds up, and they're carrying these emotions and this negative energy through their entire life sometimes, until they do the work that they need to do to release them. So what I do is literally envision those, put a visualization to the emotion and filter it like you're putting it through a strainer or a filter through the heart and through whatever chakra, or all the chakras really will work. So that's just my personal thing. Go ahead, brother.
Absolutely, brother, and I agree with you too. That's a great way to do it. But the answer to your question might not be the one that you want to hear, but the main answer that I feel in this question is really that you can't learn to do it. It only takes time and practice of being aware of it. And that's why when Treb says become aware of it, embrace that feeling, look at what it is that's causing that, and then every time that thought pops in your head, every time that action that you're going to take is about ready to be done, or every time the thought that starts that whole wild ride out comes to fruition, stop it at its door and use your affirmation. You have to literally catch yourself being aware every day, every second, every moment. And when that thought that you know is going to start that rolling downhill to negativity comes, when the action that you're about to do is going to start that negativity, stop yourself and remind yourself, this is co-created. We're both at part here. It really doesn't matter what he says. I understand my own life. I understand my own thing, and he is only doing this to me out of imbalance of himself. Whatever affirmation you need for the specific thing. If it's a fight with your husband, then understand that there is friction between you two because of the differences of your view, and practice that unconditional love that Treb's taught you, that you've been able to absorb. Practice that and say, he has a different view, I accept it, and I love him, and release it. Let yourself know through affirmations of that constant awareness. Every time you know that there's going to be a difference, every time you feel it coming up, when you feel that red flag, then hit it with your own affirmation repetitively. And it's only by being constantly aware and doing this over and over and over and over again until that belief system's gone. And that's how we have to attack every belief system, is through awareness and consistent affirmations. I mean, that's the way it works for me. That's the way it works for most people I know who've been able to get through either bad belief system, bad thought processes, or bad actions that they're doing that are causing all these things.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Savita.
Yeah. Isn't there a fine line between accepting it, okay, this is my co-creation, and blaming yourself? You know what I mean? Like it's something happens and you kind of, there's a fine line, you know, like you can blame yourself. Oh my God, that's me. I created it, you know, I created it in a negative way. And it's a positive way that, understanding the whole thing, that it is I created it, I take the responsibility, and I learn from it and grow from it. So there is a bit, I mean, I feel it's very fine line there. And I do see people passing through that line and taking all the blame and guilt in their heart for that. You know what I mean? So how to kind of avoid that thing?
Well, I think that guilt is another belief system. You know, we can't forget about past lives and how those energies affect us. But holding on to guilt is something that it comes from a wounded perspective, and a lot of those are childhood issues that we carry. Most people that are wounded have probably felt that way their entire life, and it's being proactive and realizing it, and it's an evolution. It's not going to happen fast. It's an evolution of knowing, of understanding, just like you said, Savita, and realizing, and little by little you start to dissipate and fix those wounds, those childhood wounds of carrying this guilt. We should never carry guilt, but it's happened. We're human beings, and we all have felt this way. So it's just having the realization, and it'll work itself out in terms of evolving to a point where you understand where the core belief system is that is making you carry this guilt. Absolutely, brother. And I think, too, another important part of this is when you're looking at that fine line of blaming yourself for the co-creation and carrying that, opposed to just understanding and being okay with co-creation, is all about self-forgiveness. It's all about understanding that even if you co-create a negative experience, you don't have to carry that on anymore past that 1 second that you co-created with. You can literally stop that co-creation at any time you're ready through awareness and affirmating to yourself. Doing all of these things can help you get through that. You stop it at the moment that it's there. You say, okay, I co-created this mess, this catastrophe, but it's okay. It was there for a reason. It was there to be teaching both of us something. It's there because we're both reflecting negative perceptions and energy off each other, but that's okay. I forgive myself, and let's move on to the next co-creation. Let's make this one a good one. It's reminding yourself, and literally it takes so much practice to be aware in the moment every time, every day as you go through life. It's so difficult to do that, but it can be done. And
even though you're aware, even though you understand the day-to-day things, you understand the big lessons, it's not just a good theory, it's a good way to live, and you got to incorporate that literally into every moment and every second of the day. And when the hardships come, remind yourself it's okay to co-create negative experiences. We're doing it to learn. This is a lesson, and then kind of move on.
Perfect.
Thank you, brother. Sorry, Sabita. Go ahead.
No. I was just listening to you, and I was thinking in my heart that, when in normal, natural scenario, when things happen, and you understand, oh my God, I co-created it, and you understand, you take the blame with your heart is hurting, your heart is hurting. Oh my God, how did I do that?
Sure.
I know I have this half knowledge that yes, I'm the creator, and with that half knowledge, you accept the responsibility in a negative way, and your heart is hurting. So there's no quick fix. There is no fast thing that you understand that. Like, it's because I know people who are going through all that. They understand that they created it, but their heart is hurting. They're hurting.
Sure.
Oh my God, how did I created that? I caused pain for myself. I caused pain for others. So that's what I'm talking about, Rob. There is a difference in the book knowledge. That's the book knowledge that yes, I created it. I should love myself. I should forgive myself, and I should move on. I should feel that pain and let it go. This is all book knowledge. So that was originally my question: how to absorb that knowledge into you? There's a huge difference which I'm not able to express in words. It's just
Savita, sorry to interrupt. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think it's like I said, it's an evolution of knowledge. It's self-forgiveness. It's beautiful that you even have these realizations. That's huge. That's so huge that you even realize this concept, and so you just have to build on that. You're creating a new belief system to understand that. So like Rob said, all of this information, you literally have to do it every minute of the day. When it becomes second nature is when they don't happen often. They become less and less and less. So it's the self-realization of understanding these concepts and accepting that they're there for a reason. There are no mistakes. So when we know that okay, this thing is happening to me, and it's happening for a reason to show me something. So we don't look at it as a negative thing. Stay in the neutral point of view and know, what can I gain from this? And that was the point I just wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And I think, too, Savita, when it comes to your question, the true answer is you're never going to avoid that kind of pain. That in-the-moment pain is coming there, and we all know why it's there. We all understand the whole concepts and all of the physics that are here to play on all co-creative things. But I really think that the main thing that Treb's taught me about dealing with issues like that, I understand the concept, but I can't integrate it into my daily existence. That comes from evolving. It comes from being on a path. All of us are human. We have a certain level of consciousness. We have a certain level of ability to make changes quickly because of others, because of the collective consciousness, and because ourselves. We're never going to master these things completely in our life. It's trying to master them that gives us that awareness. It gives us our power. It gives us our understanding. So you'll always have some sort of friction in one way or other with these daily things until you've mastered the removal of a belief system. But think, I've lived my life, let's say 30 years, and I've learned nothing but negativity, bad habits, from the collective consciousness, from the media, whatever you want to put it on. All these things have taught me one way. And now I'm changing my life. Now I'm understanding spiritual concepts. We have to be as patient with learning them and integrating them as we were with learning the original ones that are causing us all the problems now.
Right.
And that's the thing. I don't think there is any quick fix. It's those constant understandings, constant reminding, and constant practice of being aware that will give it to us. And it does take time. I mean, when I go through those same things you're talking about, disagreements with the people we love the most, it still is frustrating. There can always be frustration and pain and all these things that come along with it. But the reason why we're still dealing with the people who are closest to us is because those souls are sent to us to give us the most adversity. They're sent to give us the most bang for our buck with our learning experiences. And we can learn quickly or we can learn hardly or difficultly, let's say, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter. We can do both. But it's a common going through it over and over and over again until we reach that point that we're able to change our belief system. And that's all that means. If it's still happening to you, let's say the argument with the husband thing, and it's still beating you up, it's because that lesson has to still be learned. And once it's learned, it will go away. Give me 1 second, Sabita. I'm going to keep you on hold for a minute. I've got another caller from the 909 area code, and as soon as I'm done getting that call, Savita will be right back with you. 909 area code, can you please tell us who's with us today?
Shabria.
Hey, Shabria.
How you doing, Sabria?
Fine, yourself?
Great.
Yeah, we're doing good here.
Good. I had a question. I had a question about, because I had recently heard that China has been one of the first countries to reveal that there's actually extraterrestrial, beings out there. And the reason why I asked this question is because I wanted to know the reason why they have they're releasing this information. Is it because that China or Asia or whatever, are they more spiritually in tune with, outside beings versus what we are normally?
Thank you, Sabria, for that question. I think that's a very great question, too.
Yeah.
The answer to that, and it doesn't really take places to be more spiritual than others, but the culture in the East, the Eastern culture, Asian culture, they are born and based around more spiritual aspects. They're not based around religious aspects. If you look at Buddhism, Hinduism, all these things that are over there in Asia, both of those teach non-resistance. They teach understanding of yourself. They also teach to be aligned with yourself. And that could be a very, very big reason of why those places are the first to do that in a co-creation, the first of many. And I know that it will come to light eventually throughout the whole world. But I think that's a very good point. I know that the Tibetan place, I'm trying to think of, maybe it is Tibet. That's where most of the Buddhist monks live, in the monasteries, the temples. There's a place over there that is one of the chakra systems of the earth. So physically it's located there, and that's why the people in that area are enlightened. There's a lot of spiritual places here around us. In America, Sedona is one of the places that aligns with the earth's actual chakra system, and it allows many people who go out there to feel that energy. They're more light than the rest of the country are. And there's several places around the earth, 7 of them, just like the 7 chakras of humans. And I'm not sure all where they're at exactly, but I know Sedona is one of them. I know over there in Tibet, it's also another one. So there's different places in the world that represent different energies of a collective. And a lot of it is over there. A lot of it's understanding when they're being raised from birth, they're still learning the Buddhist ways, the Hindu ways, a lot of these religions that are less resistant than Christianity, Muslimism, what's the other ones we got over here? But you understand what I mean. It's basically less resistance. It teaches you about self instead of projecting it to another third party.
Yeah, brother, and I think a lot of it has to do with the the different. I think they have probably less governmental control in terms of things like that. You know, they have their aspects of their government are kind of more stringent with their information, and then other aspects, you know, like disclosure is not a big thing. You know, everybody knows it's coming. It just has to evolve till it actually gets to the point where the collective is you know, enough to allow it. So that's a big part of it as well.
Sure. If you go to India and you talk to the people on the streets, they've known since they were born that ETs exist, because in their Hindu culture they're taught about the Vimanas. They're taught about these flying machines that are built by beings that are outside of this world. So they already have really, really good understanding. It's not hidden over there like it is over here. Part of that's to do with their religious upbringing. But the Indian culture is one of the oldest cultures in the world, one of the least resistant cultures in the world when it comes to understanding extraterrestrials and all those things, too. So I think that does have a big part to play with it. And thank you, Sabria, for asking that question, too. It's a very good question.
No problem. Where's Sedona at?
It's in Arizona.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, is it in Arizona or somewhere else you're talking about? Okay. And I had heard, too, that they were saying that a great spiritual leader is going to come out of Asia. Like, you know, like how they say Christ came and Buddha came. They said it's going to be like another spiritual leader like that to come out of Asia.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, Sabria. Go ahead.
It's okay. I just wanted to get your guys' take on that, too.
Sure. It's a very big possibility. The one thing that I've been taught from Treb more than anything is that nothing's set in stone. If you have a fortune teller or a prophet and they tell you this will happen for sure, they're not telling you the truth. Well, they might be telling you their truth, but they're not giving you a fair representation of how it works. The collective consciousness makes everything. A lot of people were worried about doomsday, comets, all these negative things. And sure, that can happen if the collective consciousness puts enough energy into it, if they believe that it will, if enough people are locked into that idea. So, you know, basically the earth is set just like each human is. Each individual is set to their own reality. But collectively, if we believe something very deeply, if we believe something very strongly, if we put enough negative energy into it, anything can happen. And, brother, do you have anything to weigh in on that one, Wish?
Well, I agree with you totally. I think that, you know, there's so much information being pumped out into the world on the internet. So, you know, just know that, try to understand the big picture of all of this information, and, you know, take it in, and whatever resonates with you is generally pretty true to your nature. So I know that's how I do it. If something resonates with me, then I know that there's some truth to it. So, but you know, I can't answer your question about. I haven't heard that, but it's, you know, anything's possible. So, like Rob said, if the collective, if they're believing in something like that, then it'll probably exist at some point.
Absolutely, brother. And thank you, Sabria, for the call. We're getting short on time, so we're going to have to start disconnecting from the callers. I wanted to thank you, Sabria, for calling in and asking questions, being part of the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Sabria. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, and Savita, you're back on too. We just had to say goodbye to you. And did you understand what we were saying about that whole thing about talking about the beliefs? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, Savita. Well, we appreciate you calling
the mountain thing. The mountain thing, that Kailash mountain, and that's a crown chakra for Mother Earth. And mythologically, Lord Shiva, this is the house of the Lord Shiva.
Yes, and they're the Buddhist monks that have a really
it's a literal mountain there. This is named Kailash Mountain. The name of the mountain is Kailash Mountain. And one day I was looking for all the chakras, like chakras for Mother Earth. So Kailash Mountain is a crown chakra for Earth. But then I kind of, it kicked in my mind that a Hindu god Shiva, that's the house of the Kailash. We call it Parvat. Parvat means mountain. So Kailash Parvat is the house of the Lord Shiva. And Lord Vishnu, he lives under the water, under the sea. I don't know. These are my theological things. I'm born Hindu. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate that
beautiful.
knowledge, Savita. Unfortunately, we're going to have to jump off the call real quick because we got only a couple minutes left. Thanks again, Savita, for calling and connecting with us. We love you.
Thank you, Savita. Love you,
Thank
Savita.
You so
Thank you.
All right.
I'm so grateful for whatever you're doing. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Savita. We appreciate that more than you'll ever know. That's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk to you, to answer any questions. We're here to help raise the collective consciousness. There's nothing on our mind except for that, to connect to you guys and see what you need. We're here to try to help you with any needs that you have. We've got about 2.5 minutes, brother, so whatever you need to say, please do.
Well, I wanted to thank again all of our callers, Savita, Sabrina. These are wonderful questions, and how beautiful is it that we can sit down and discuss these things and open our mind. We're opening our mind to new vistas. We're creating new belief systems as we go, and it's so beautiful. And I get so excited to be able to experience this with all of our listeners, and it really does bring great joy to my heart. And please join us again in the future, because it not only helps our listeners, it helps us. I know it helps Rob, and it's just a beautiful co-creation. Thanks, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother, and I love you so much, and you're a big, huge part of the co-creation of everyone joining together, too, to raise their vibration and to raise their enlightenment and evolution of their enlightenment, and to be able to learn all these things together is great, because no matter how you see me and George, no matter how you see channeled work, no matter how you see other people, teachers, we're all students, we're all teachers, and we're co-creating all of this together, and we appreciate your guys as part of this co-creation. All the call-ins, all the comments on Facebook, all the letters that we get, everything is so great. We love to have your support. We love to have you guys coming in and chatting about whatever's important to you, and we're so well appreciative of this, and I think that our words cannot describe that whatsoever. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and we love you very, very dearly.
Thank you so much again. Love and light to all.
All right. Well, this is the Rob and George Enlightenment Evolution Hour. You can catch us here every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, United States Eastern Time. And this is Rob.
And this is George.
And we're out of here. We love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.